Bienvenidas y bienvenidos a Spotlight. I am Jessica Moya, production manager at Pregones and Puerto Rico Traveling Theater. And on behalf of our entire family of artists and cultural workers, thank you for joining us in our weekly series showcasing creatives at work. This episode features musicians Carlos Cuevas and Waldo Chávez. Carlos Cuevas' music career expands for more than 3 decades. He has composed and arranged music for a wide variety of styles and ensembles that ranges everywhere from small group to big band and symphony orchestra. He has released 2 albums to great acclaim. With Pregones, he is part of the production evolution of a sonero. Waldo Chávez began his musical studies at the New School in New York City. He later obtained a scholarship to attend Berklee's College of Music in Boston. Waldo has spent the last years in New York City playing, recording, and touring with dozens of artists in several styles. He's founding member of the acclaimed Latin jazz band Timbalaye and legendary bomba en plena band Viento de Agua. With Pregones, he's been part of many productions, including El Apagón and Evolution of a Sonero. Gracias por estar con nosotros y disfruten este episodio de Spotlight.
Hello, my name is Carlos Cuevas. I am a musician. I was born in England, grew up in Venezuela.
My name is Waldo Chávez. I am from El Salvador. I was born in West Germany. And I am a musician. I'm a bass player.
I grew up in a musical family. My father was a criminologist, but he loved playing acoustic guitar. He would play by ear. He didn't have any musical training, and that was his passion, playing guitar and singing. My mom played a little piano, and my sister also played organ. One of my older brothers plays a little bit of every instrument, and he's also an artist. So I grew up in this family where everyone had a artistic inclination.
I knew from when I was very little that I either wanted to be a football player, soccer player, or a musician. But when I was 14, a friend of mine in school said, I have a bass for sale. Do you want to buy a bass? Give me $15 and I'll give you the bass and I'll give you 2 music books. And I said, okay. I knew I wanted to be a musician. I didn't know what I was going to play, but that sort of sealed the deal. I bought the bass, fell in love with it. Later in that year, moved to Guadalajara, Mexico. And when I was in Mexico, I met some people there and I started playing in a band. There was something happening in my school and some guys were playing and they needed a bass player. I didn't really know what I was doing, but the guy said, you do this, do this, do this. And I did it, and there was a lot of people there and they were so into it. After that, I said, this is what I'm gonna do.
My first college experience was at the University of North Texas in the mid-90s. It was a good experience musically, but I didn't think it was complete. So between my bachelor's degree in North Texas and my master's degree at Queens College, 16 years went by. As far as the formal years, they kind of came together after Queens College. Like I said, it's a never-ending story. Music learning is forever, and you never really become a master.
I became a little bit more anxious about learning music and expanding my bass playing. I moved back to New York City, and very shortly after that, I obtained a scholarship actually to go to Berklee College of Music, which I did, and that's where I met many musicians that have been instrumental in my life and have been instrumental in my participation in Pregones, actually.
What I like best about what I do is that I get to do several things, and that's one of those situations that either comes to you by necessity because you have to make a living as a musician doing several things, or it doesn't. My case is somewhat different, whether it's performing piano, performing keyboards, or transcribing music, arranging music, orchestrating music, recording music, playing different styles of music. It gives you the type of latitude that strengthens you and allows you to keep doing that, which is doing a little bit of everything. It starts as a survival skill and it ends up being your entire career.
The last 10 years, I actually have had a job with Mind Builders Creative Arts Center, one of the best places in the world, and it's a job as music director. So I'm able to put forth my knowledge to a lot of young people.
So my first album was recorded in 2003. The name is Depiction. I was living in Los Angeles at the time. Bassist Dean Tava and drummer Jimmy Brandley were part of the record. The record did really well. Downbeat in 2004 gave it 4 stars and wrote a nice review. My second record was a bit of a left turn. I recorded it in Brooklyn in 2007, and I used bassist John Patitucci, drummer Jimmy Brandley, and a 16-piece chamber orchestra. And it was a really nice experience. A lot more challenging than the first one because it involved far more logistics. I look back at that as being one of the biggest challenges, not just as a performer, but as a producer, and I'm very proud of it.
Playing music to me is like breathing. I literally wake up every morning, and before I even brush my teeth, I have a bass in my hand. As a bass player, I'd like to look at the situation and what's going on. Why am I here? What is the objective? What are we doing? Does this require me to play fast or complicated? Or maybe it just requires me to play slow whole notes? I'd like to respect what is happening all around. As far as composition, I don't think I would be able to write for anybody else. Just because I have a specific way for things to sound, and I know what I would like to say. So it's difficult for me to put that onto somebody else. To me, the process of writing usually comes in the form of an idea, and then it just stays in my head until I put it forth. I'm really not known as a writer, but after all these years, I've decided to record an album. I'm in the process of it, and it's been amazing to be able to channel my creativity in that way.
When I create my art, I like to listen for things that are not there. If I have an idea, I try to develop the idea as much as I can. But once the main idea is laid out, I focus on what's not there. And I have to admit, it's not a really well-organized method of doing things because it relies only on emotions. But I like it. I like doing that because it forces me to hear what I don't hear. And once that becomes the first question, that question becomes an opportunity to learn things that weren't there before. What is this sound missing? What can make it better? How does that make me feel every time I listen to it? Do I feel different? Do I feel better? Do I feel worse? What does it need? And it always needs something.
A few years ago, I was involved with an organization called the Multicultural Music Group. Great organization here in New York, provides education in different schools. And they also produce every year these amazing concerts that have to do with social justice, and they commission a great composer to write this. In this particular year, we had the fortune of having Mr. Ray Santos write this whole piece about the Borinqueneers. And it was amazing to be part of the whole process of a production, which involved everything from publicity to musicians, everything. And it was quite a success. This year, I will be writing a piece for the Multicultural Music Group based on the war in El Salvador. And I haven't told them yet, but I think this is really cool. I am actually writing it with my grandfather. My grandfather passed away 45 years ago, but he was the director of his town orchestra in El Salvador, Cojutepeque. So I've taken some of his melodies and counterpoints and interwoven them with my melodies and counterpoints. So I think it's going to be really nice.
The Piano Sundays was a very special performance that I did here at Pregones. And I like that setting because you have to find yourself first. Whereas where you play with other people, it's easier to find your place. You're just reacting to what other people are doing. When you're playing solo, you have to get to a place where you know where you are, and more specifically, what is it that you want to do on your own. I remember it to be in a fun concert, challenging. Pregones has a beautiful Steinway that I love playing, and it was a very nice experience.
I find inspiration in everything. I've met a lot of different people, been to, many places, and I've always found that no matter where you are, it could be something that's very grand, it could be something that's very humble. I do get inspired by musicians all the time, whether they're seasoned musicians or sometimes a young guy will come up and do something that I'm like, I was just watching a video of like a 9-year-old kid playing the bass, and it's like, oh my God. It's very important to see everything, the world, everything, and just be inspired by everything. And then the most important thing is to be able to channel that, whether it's your instrument or whatever you're writing.
Muchas gracias. Otra vez Luis Perdomo en el piano, Roberto Quintero en la tumbadora, Waldo Chávez bajo.
I don't know where inspiration comes. I have to be honest. Inspiration is a mystery. And when it comes, you make the best of it, but it's really difficult to pinpoint where it comes from. Inspiration for me doesn't always come from music. It doesn't always come from things that I hear. It could come from the plot of a movie. It could come from a real life experience, something that either happened to me or someone else, somebody close to me. Early on, I would find inspiration on other people's music, other people's records. It would be helpful back then, but it wouldn't give you a personal approach. For me, inspiration these days, it's more of a conceptual type of thing. Not necessarily a specific work of art, but a concept, an intention, an approach.
This is a message from Carlos. He says, I support Pregones PRTT because Boricua artistic expression was born of the racial, cultural, and linguistic roots which formed us. Hacer arte es hacer patria. Help the young to know themselves. I mean, this is exactly one of the reasons why I love PRTT in Pregones is because this was the first place I worked when I moved to New York City as a young artist. It's one of the only places in New York where I can explore my artistic side and my culture, and it's a place where both of those things can come together.
I really do feel that the level of integrity in the work, also in the sense of community with front of house and just everybody involved in the Pregones family, makes people feel happy and makes people leave the theater feeling lifted.
It speaks to our current moment here in the world where people need to escape, and I love that this theater provides inspiration and a reminder of our beautiful culture. I feel that it is a place, a sanctuary for artists, Puerto Rican artists, to develop their craft, develop themselves as people, and it provides that for not only Puerto Ricans here in New York City and abroad, but also it provides that for other Latino artists and also artists from the LGBTQ+ community.
We are so proud to be recognized as one of the leading Latinx theater ensembles in the nation. And we're home to more than 20 artists ranging from choreographers, actors, designers, playwrights, who continue to share their stories and their talent on our stages, both in the Bronx and in Manhattan. The support of our donors not only helps to keep the legacy that Miriam Colon set forth here at Pregones Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, but also impacts artists, for instance, in Puerto Rico, where we have been able to institute grants, emergency grants, to artists that were affected by Hurricane Maria, and now most recently by artists who were also affected by the earthquakes in Puerto Rico. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being part of our family.
Pregones is an institution that I am very proud of being part of and work for. Pregones has taken art at a very high level and exposed it not just to New York, but to the world.
For me, Pregones is my family, for sure. I started working in Pregones in 1992. I learned so much about the culture itself. And from then on, it's just been ongoing. I've done so many shows with Pregones. I think one of the most important lessons I've learned here is how to work in an ensemble. I remember when I first started working, one of the first shows we were doing, I think maybe it was El Apagón or Baile Cangrejero. And you know, I'm a musician, I'm cool, I have my music stand, I'm playing the bass, that's it. And I remember Rosalba coming up to us after the show and said, "Do you guys know that people can see you?" And you know, she was like one step away from taking out a chancla, and she imitated all of us. She said, "Waldo, you're sitting there like this, you're doing this," and then we realized, and then from then on, I realized that, you know, we are a team. It's not just the two guys or the guy talking. It's everything that's going on is being observed. Currently, I'm working on a show called Evolution of a Sonero with Flaco Navaja.
Flaco is a very talented, very charismatic individual. It's been a pleasure working for him, not just on Evolution of the Sonero, but also arranging for his solo record.
It's amazing. It's great. It's a one-man show, but it really isn't. There's 5 musicians on stage, all interacting, and whether the audience knows it or not, we are talking to each other throughout the show. Whether it's musically or just an inflection in Flaco's lines. And it's so much fun. Here, nobody will come up to you and say, "You have to play this." Somebody might say to you, "This is what I want to hear around this or this," but you do what you got to do. And it's amazing because, you know, it's allowed me to take risks. And then when I see the risks were successful, it's incredible. So, and when I see that they weren't, then it's a lesson.
It's important to get together with people that believe in doing art in the highest form of expression possible, to the highest level. And the family of Pregones, it's one of those cases where they want to work hard and they want to put out art that is nothing but what they think is the best.
On the keys, the one and only, Carlos Cuevas. On the bass, my man, my mellow, Waldo Chávez. Yo lo que peso son 100 libras nada más, con piedra en los bolsillos y la ropa moja. Cuidado que te corta, Flaco llegó, cuidado que te corta, Flaco llegó, cuidado que te corta, Flaco llegó, cuidado que te corta. Siempre me dicen, flaco, tú no pesas nada, come esta chuleta y esta papa maja, porque tú tienes hueso nada más, tú tienes hueso nada más, y si vives conmigo yo te pongo a engordar. Cuidado que te corta, mamá, cuidado que te corta, cuidado que te corta. Siempre ha tratado y no hay comida que yo no he probado. Yo como y como, pero nunca he engordado. Pues si me ven de frente, parece que estoy de lado. Flaco llegó, cuidado que te corta. Flaco llegó.
Because of technology over the last few years, I've been recording at home. After, everybody sort of got used to living this way, recording started coming back a little bit, and I know that when we do the live gigs again, I am gonna be in there like 1,000%, and I'm never complaining again about playing late or things like that. It's made me be a little bit creative and actually, turn my energy into writing music rather than just performing.
Over the past few months, I've learned just how fragile life is, how much more vulnerable we are as human beings, not just health-wise, but what we do. Performing arts in general have become an incredible challenge. You have to redefine yourself. You have to find a way to stay motivated and stay positive. Know that this is a trial period that will eventually, hopefully sooner than later, go away. And that in the meantime, you still have to give your best as a musician and find a way to motivate yourself to stay disciplined in your practice and your musical endeavors. To me, diversity, equity, and inclusion means living in a world where no one is keeping count on race, gender, sexual orientation. It's to live in a world in which those are not differences at all. But the work and your qualifications as a human being and as a worker in any field are the reason you get the job or not.
To me, inclusion, diversity, and equity is life. I don't see it any other way. It really hasn't been an issue in my life being here because, working for Pregones and working for Mind Builders Creative Arts Center, I'm not a believer in doing different things just because somebody is a certain race. It's important to see people for what they do and how they are, rather than where they come from and the way they look. My advice for Latino artists or any artist, in general, first of all, if you are going to embark in this type of career, you need to love it. You need that to be your complete and utter passion. I believe in anything that you're going to do, you need to be happy. And then when you decide, learn everything that you can about music, whether it's written music, scales, styles, everything, and then just forget about it and play. And that's when you really start talking through your instrument, whether it's your voice, whether it's you're playing something.
Early on, you should know that there is an element of randomness and luck that ultimately controls everything. When you learn to respect the role of luck in life in general, you will be a happier, healthier human being. So yes, work hard, be patient, learn everything you can, be humble, and fail often, as much as you can. Make all the mistakes you can. Don't be afraid to making mistakes. Don't be afraid to making a fool of yourself. You will regret not trying things a lot more than you will regret trying them and failing at it. So try them, fail, but also understand that on your way, wherever it is that you're going to go, luck will ultimately hold the power. And learn to be at peace with that thought, because it's going to save you a lot of grief and a lot of trouble.